I never suspected that an ordinary Zoom call could hide secrets capable of destroying 10 years of my life. One chilly Thursday evening, my phone buzzed with an alert I'd tried to ignore. I tapped it, and there it was, a shaky, dimly lit video of Anna, my wife, my partner in every adventure, wrapped in someone else's arms. Under the innocent label of online yoga practice, a betrayal unfolded, and I knew in that instant that everything would change. My name is Mark. I'm 38, a software engineer who thrives on logic, precision, and clear outcomes. I live in a craftsman house just outside Seattle with Anna and our 2 children, ages 8 and 6. Every morning I wake at 6 to the soft hiss of our heating system, draw back the curtains to a silver-gray dawn, and inhale the damp, fragrant air. My first cup of coffee, a dark roast with a sprinkle of cinnamon, sharpens my mind for the day's work, code reviews, architecture diagrams, client calls. Anna and I met 10 years ago at a neighborhood book fair. I was fumbling through a worn copy of Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment when she laughed at my mispronunciation of Raskolnikov's name. Intrigued, I stumbled over an apology, she corrected me with a grin, and in that moment I felt something new spark to life inside me. Our whirlwind romance led to a honeymoon in the Cascades, dawn hikes through misty pines, evenings by an alpine lake, the sun cresting the ridge as I carried her to the summit. In those moments, under impossibly blue skies, we believed ourselves invincible. That first Christmas together remains one of my favorite memories, she and I standing side by side in her parents' cozy living room, the tree twinkling with vintage ornaments, carols humming softly on the radio. I remember slipping a hand-woven scarf around her neck as snow drifted past the window, and the way her eyes lit up when my parents surprised us with a tiny wooden nativity set. We laughed over burnt sugar cookies, and for the first time I realized that home wasn't a place, it was wherever she was. Back home, we built routines, weekday dinners at 6, lazy Sunday mornings with pancakes and cartoons, bedtime stories told in whispered theatrics until our kids drifted off to dreams of dragons and rocket ships. Anna taught yoga classes online 3 evenings a week, I settled into my home office to debug code until midnight. We shared our triumphs and frustrations over mugs of tea, promised one another honesty and openness, until the first small cracks began to appear. It started with tiny things, a lingering smile at her phone, an unexplained dash out the door, a vague excuse about meeting a friend for coffee. I dismissed each as stress, her nutrition coaching business had grown, she said, and she was exhausted. But after one too many nights of restless curiosity, I bought a tiny GPS tracker, no bigger than a matchbox, and slipped it into her gym bag. I just want to know she's safe, I rationalized. Deep down, though, a cold knot tightened in my gut. Anna and I met 10 years ago at a neighborhood book fair. I was fumbling through a worn copy of Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment when she laughed at my mispronunciation of Raskolnikov's name. Intrigued, I stumbled over an apology, she corrected me with a grin, and in that moment I felt something new spark to life inside me. Our whirlwind romance led to a honeymoon in the Cascades, dawn hikes through misty pines, evenings by an alpine lake, the sun cresting the ridge as I carried her to the summit. In those moments, under impossibly blue skies, we believed ourselves invincible. The next few days I lived in a daze. My home office became a prison for my thoughts, every line of code echoed those final frames. I tried to find answers at the gym, sprinting on the treadmill to burn off adrenaline, but each lap only deepened my unrest. One morning, before dawn, I remembered our first fitness marathon. Anna and I had signed up with ear-to-ear grins. I recall her wrapping her arms around me at the start and whispering, "We'll conquer every mile together." Back then, I could run 20 kilometers uphill with her faith beside me. Now that faith was gone. I ran the same course where hundreds once cheered us on, and all I felt was emptiness. I ran, but toward what? When I stopped after the 3rd kilometer, my reflection in an old car's windshield looked like a stranger. That evening I returned home empty-handed. Instead of energy, exhaustion. Instead of plans, blank pages in my notebook where I could no longer record anger or pain. My next step was trying to reconnect without cameras or suspicion. I decided on a surprise, a candlelit evening in our living room. The coffee table was draped with a soft blanket, and I held 2 glasses of sparkling cider. She came home with the same sorrow in her eyes that I'd seen in the cafe. "Mark, what is this?" she asked softly. I held my breath and answered, "I want to talk about us. No cameras, no tracking. Just us." We sat on the floor beside the table, silence stretching between us. I waited for her voice. When she spoke, I heard the most important words: "I'm scared. I'm scared of losing you." Those words became the first step toward therapy. I jumped up, pulled her into a hug, and whispered, "I'm scared too. But I'm ready to fight." We found a therapist who understood that sometimes betrayal begins with a wound and trust and was ready to help us heal it. Our first therapy session was in a small office bathed in soft light and decorated with mountain photographs. The therapist gently asked questions I had never dared to voice. "What do you feel when you remember that night at Bean and Brew?" she asked Anna. Anna lowered her gaze. I felt guilt and shame. I realized I let that wound come between us. Acknowledging it was painful. It became easier for me to speak in that space. "I feel like I've been living in fear instead of love," I said. "It has destroyed me from the inside." Therapy lasted weeks. We learned to listen without judgment. Our homework: write daily gratitude notes, hug for at least 30 seconds, and unplug weekly, no phones allowed. One evening, during our 5th week, we sat in our living room roasting marshmallows over a tea kettle. I stood, took her hand, and reminded her, "Remember when we first learned to ice skate, falling and getting back up again? Today I'm learning to love again, despite the falls." She smiled. "Me too." The kids came in, asking for their gadgets, but we brought out a board game instead and played late into the night. It was proof we were restoring some of the warmth we'd lost. Winter arrived with snow and holiday cheer. We decided to return to the mountains, not as newlyweds, but as a family, to make new memories. We followed narrow trails marked by deer hooves, built a snowman with the kids, and laughed as it tumbled in a snowstorm. Under the falling snow, we stopped and held each other close. Anna whispered, "Thank you for not giving up." I replied, "Thank you for giving me a chance to love again." Our story now is not just about darkness and betrayal, but about rebirth and hope. We know challenges lie ahead, but we believe we can overcome them together. We continue writing our story, day by day, honest word by honest word.